The following is brought to you by Digital Shelf Space, producers of GSP Rush Fit and Tour Academy Home Edition. Visit them online at digitalshelfspace.com.
Welcome to Cambridge House Live. I'm Vanessa Collette at the Toronto Resource Investment Conference. I'm joined by Rudi Fronk, Chairman and CEO of Seabridge Gold. Welcome, Rudi. Great to have you here with us.
Great to be here, Vanessa.
Rudi, what is the most exciting thing about the company to you right now?
Clearly, I think it's the exploration success we're now seeing at KSM. KSM already has the largest undeveloped gold reserve in the world. We have 38 million ounces of gold reserves and 10 billion pounds of copper. But what we're finding now in a new deposit is a deposit that has significantly higher grades than our existing reserves, and that's exciting.
And when will you be moving from this exploration phase into development?
Well, the project right now is going through the environmental assessment process in British Columbia. We would expect to have the project approved sometime mid-2014. We've been in the environmental assessment process since 2008, so it's been a long time coming, but we're coming to the end of that. And then once the project was approved, it would be a 4 to 5 year construction period.
Now, one of your objectives this year was to continue to de-risk the KSM project. How's that coming along?
It's coming along well. Getting through the environmental assessment process is a major de-risking that removes a big risk component from the project. Being able to secure agreements with treaty and First Nations is also part of the de-risking process. We recently announced successful agreement in principle with the Niska Nation, which is one of the key First Nations there. But adding reserves or potential reserves at higher grades than what we have is also a big plus for the project.
Now, KSM is a world-class deposit. It's going to require a significant amount of capital to put into production. How are you planning on funding?
Well, we're not mine builders, we're mine finders. We will partner up this project at the appropriate time with an established company. If you look at the scale of KSM today, it's larger than anything that's ever been built by Newmont, Barrick, or Goldcorp in terms of reserves and size. It is the largest undeveloped gold reserve in the world today, and it's a project that, quite frankly, needs the involvement of a major to make it happen.
What is the payback period that's expected for investors?
Our base case pre-feasibility study last year showed a 6-year payback, and that was using 3-year metal prices of just above $1,300 gold and just above $3 copper. But that's also in relation to a mine life of over 50 years. So when you look at payback period relative to mine life, it's quite good. It's actually better than just about any other project out there.
Do you have any plans to further reduce it at the moment?
The payback period? No, I think projects of this scale cost a lot to build. We designed a mine there that has a throughput rate of 130,000 tons a day. Those mines are expensive to build. But I think what makes this project stand out is the long mine life, the low political risk in Canada. We're seeing a lot of false starts and hiccups by big companies in other jurisdictions. I think as they look what comes next for them, they'll look closer to home. And then the exploration success on top of that. What we're seeing now is very exciting.
So now once you're in production, how many years will the company be in production?
Right now with reserves, it's over 50 years. And what we're seeing now in terms of potential additions to reserves, you can probably add another 20 to 30 years on top of that.
That's significant.
It's a big project.
Now you're also advancing Courageous Lake. How are you balancing your priorities between the two projects?
Clearly KSM right now is taking the bulk of our investment. It is a project that is further down the track, further through the permitting, and further in terms of detailed engineering work. So Courageous Lake right now is taking a second seat to KSM, but Courageous Lake on its own is also of large size. There's 6.5 million ounces of reserves we've defined there in an open pit configuration in a jurisdiction that actually has 2 producing mines just to the north of us, although they're diamond mines, but they are producing mines.
Let's talk a little bit about your current cash position. Where are you at the moment?
We are very stingy with our cash. We have a little over $20 million in the treasury. We expect to end this year with about $15 million in the treasury, which is in a good position, which gets us through next year in terms of completing the environmental assessment application process, as well as corporate G&A and holding costs.
So what is your burn rate at the moment? I think you mentioned about $5 million for the next year.
No, it varies from month to month. A lot of our expenditures are discretionary in terms of exploration. We're fortunate being a Canadian company that we can tap into the flow-through market when necessary. Each of the last 2 Decembers, we've been able to do more than a $20 million financing at more than a 20% premium to market. And if we have a good use of proceeds for additional exploration, we will look at the flow-through market as a way to fund the company at a premium to market, which minimizes equity dilution.
What's the share structure looking like right now?
Very tight. This is a company that we formed in 1999 when gold was trading below $300 an ounce. We have a very loyal and stable shareholder group that has been able to fund us as we needed funding. If you look at insiders of this company own over 30% of the company. That would include Albert Friedberg, who's our largest shareholder. We then have the Royce funds in New York that own over 10% of the company. And then because we're part of the GDXJ, there's another 7 or 8% of the company owned by Van Eck. So when you add those 3 groups up, we're through pushing 50%.
With the pullback in gold prices that we've seen, has Seabridge made any cost-cutting measures?
No, this is a market that we created ourselves in 1999-2000. Now is the time to find very exciting new projects. We continue to be on the hunt for finding new things to add to the portfolio. Well, I will tell you that with what we have already and where our valuation is today, it's very difficult to find something that would be meaningful and accretive, but we continue to look.
Sounds like you're shopping a little bit.
Always shopping.
Metal prices have been quite volatile. What do the gold and copper price have to be for you to advance the project?
You know, if you look at it at today's metal prices, this project generates decent IRRs. I think the best part about this project, though, is the low total cost, the concept of capital efficiency. The majors are now making gold all in, including capital costs, operating costs, and expected closure costs of about $1,100 an ounce. KSM, at above a $3 copper price, has an all-in total cost of somewhere between $600 to $700 an ounce based on the pre-feasibility. So it's a project that has tremendous capital efficiency. So
all in, your total cost is about $600 to $700 an ounce.
Correct.
I guess the burning question is, permitting. How's the permitting process going in BC?
You know, we like being in BC. In BC, there's a well-defined process in terms of strict timelines that are in place that the government has to meet. And we're now coming out of the end of that process. We started the process in 2008 with our project description document. We've had numerous working group sessions with First Nations, Treaty Nations, Canadian regulators, and the US regulators. And we're very comfortable with the process and believe that at the end of the day, we will get our environmental assessment certificate.
Well, just as we wrap up, what are some major milestones that investors can be looking out for this year?
I think over the next couple of months, it'll be exploration driven. Just earlier this week, we announced the highest grade intercept we ever had at KSM. We intersected a rich bornite zone that was nearly 70 meters in thickness, that averaged 1.8% copper and over a gram gold. To put that into perspective, that's 9 times our reserve copper grade and more than twice our gold grade. Expect to see more exploration results from KSM. Towards the end of the year, we'll have our first resource estimate for this new zone, which we've called Deep Kerr, and we'll also have an initial resource estimate for the Walsh Lake zone at Courageous Lake, which is a new discovery.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Rudi. We'll definitely be watching with interest.
Thank you, Vanessa.